Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Abby Chapman. I am the Indiana Main Street Outreach and Organization Manager here at Okra, but I also part-time work with our CDBG team on our grants and loans to small businesses. So if you're watching this, thank you. Hopefully this can be a really helpful resource to you as you work on the reporting for your grants or your loans. In an email that you probably received from me with this video, as well as a screenshot guide walkthrough, I will also make sure to just go through another recap of what we expect for reporting in terms of just the overall guidelines for it. So just read that email, but obviously if you have any questions at all and need further clarification, please reach out to myself or your community liaisons. And I've CC'd them all in that email. Hopefully you've obviously already talked to them some, but yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started. We have tried to make this process as simple as we possibly can, while also still obviously wanting to gather good information that we are required to gather, but also so that we can be able to keep good track of the impact of these funds. So again, if you have any clarifications or things you need help understanding maybe why we're asking these things, feel free to reach out and hopefully I can get an answer for you. Okay, so there's kind of two parts to this reporting process. There's another Excel sheet I'm going to have you fill out that's pretty straightforward, and you'll be able to kind of use that LMI Excel spreadsheet, the one that you filled out and had to send to me for approval. You can kind of use that as a guide to help fill out this reporting Excel sheet, and then also for your overall numbers that you'll put into GMS. So GMS is kind of the second part, but they work together, and I'll explain here in a minute and show how everything works. But we're going to start, if I can share my screen here, we're going to start with the Excel doc because I think that's a good place to start, just so you kind of understand what detailed information we need to have documented, and then we'll kind of show what the overall information that you'll need to put into GMS is. So this Excel doc looks very similar to the one that you probably, again, that either that FTE sheet or the CDBG CV economic recovery form. They look very similar. I did that on purpose, so hopefully you feel comfortable just with the flow of it. As always, there's a tab, an example tab, and then a tab for you to put in all of your information. So I'll kind of just go through, I'll kind of just start going through step by step what we're asking for on this sheet. And then again, we'll show how to get it uploaded, because this one, unlike the LMI spreadsheets that you sent to me, this one's going to just be uploaded directly onto GMS, which I know is different than the LMI, but that's kind of how we're going to do that. So I'll show that here in a bit. Okay, so first column is very simple. You can literally just copy and paste this from your LMI spreadsheet if you want, but you're just going to put in the names of the businesses, the ones that you funded. So just like normal, so obviously like a restaurant, boutique, fitness center, all that. Then you're going to look at column 2, and you're going to fill out the employee initials or codes. You don't have to use initials for each current employee in the business. And why I emphasize the word current in the instructions is because we want to see as of right now, when you're reporting this, how many employees are there, or even like think of it more like jobs. That's why we don't need to know the employees' initials. If the businesses don't want to give names of who holds that job, that's totally fine. We don't really need to necessarily know that. But if they can just say like the position is filled by a person, again, you can just code it or whatever. That's what we really need to know. And so that's where you're going to go in and put in, at this time, this is how many, jobs are held essentially. So hopefully that should be pretty simple, but that's one of those pieces that you're going to have to keep track of. So you're going to have to go back to the business and say, hey, I need to know right now how many, have you added any new jobs? Are you down a few jobs? Either way, it's okay. We just want to be able to tell, how many were retained essentially. So that's going to be for that column. Then you're going to go into column number 3. And this is one of those data points. And I know I've had some conversations with you all about this, but it's one of those data points that would be helpful for us to know about, of those jobs, how many of those positions are still holding an LMI status or are in LMI status. So that can really be retained the same way that it was when you got the grant. I would again encourage you that if you are someone who's using the FTE sheet, you should use our new form, which just goes by their annual wage from that position only. And then you can use the HUD document. I won't go into too much of all of that because hopefully you guys know how to do all of that now. But then you just use that document to see, okay, are they LMI or not? So if the business can just give you that information, that would be great. Again, they don't need to tell you employees' names or anything, but if they can just give you, yep, they hit that LMI, no, they don't, or at least give you the salary, the yearly annual salaries, that would be great because then you can track on whether or not those positions are still mine. That does not affect your, reporting. It's not going to affect, and it doesn't really, what's helpful for us to see is how many of those jobs are being retained that are LMI. So I hopefully that makes sense. I could see that kind of being a point where it might be a little bit confusing. I know I've had different conversations. We've had different guidance about that. So please reach out to me if any of that feels fuzzy or you need clarity on that piece. So for example, if going through here, so maybe this person is LMI, this person isn't, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's column 3. And then column 4 is pretty simple. If you've gone back to one of the businesses and you're like, oh, they're not open anymore. That's okay, but you need to just be able to tell us why they're not open anymore. So as you can see here, for this business, I've said, they're closed. You only need to put it once, at the kind of where the business starts on the Excel doc. So said they're closed. And then I just explained here, well, the business had, severe weather and it destroyed their facade. And then between that and the impact from COVID, they were unable to keep the business running a profit. Okay, so that's a good explanation. There were some things happening that caused the business to close. So we just want to know the why behind it. If for some reason you run into a situation where you are having trouble tracking down somebody or you don't know the answer, just reach out and we can kind of go from there. Hopefully everyone will be able to kind of give you a clear reason why if the business has closed, and hopefully not too many have closed. But, obviously we're realistic that can happen. So that's it. That's the end of the Excel sheet. There's no calculations that need to be done. Once you have completed all of that information, that is when you're just going to save the document. Ideally, maybe put your name, save it with your name under it. And then we're going to go to the Indiana Grants Management System, which again, hopefully many of you are familiar with, to then upload it there and as well as fill out something else. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen. There we go. And then I'm going to share a different screen. There we go. Okay, so you've filled out the Excel doc for the year. You're ready to get that uploaded. This should hopefully look familiar to you. This would be like your grant administration kind of perspective on GMS. So up here in the right corner, you're going to see some different options here. Well, there's a drop down arrow. You're going to click that. And then you're going to go to the bottom of the box here and you're going to say create new job retention business report. So I'm going to click that. Okay, so then this box will be brought up. This is where your Excel doc that you just filled out will be very helpful to you because this is a lot of totals that you may not want to count by hand. So it's helpful to have an Excel doc to count that for you. But so first thing you're going to look at is the year in which you are reporting. So this is going to be kind of the current year that you're reporting for. So you might say, okay, this is our 2021 report. Then you're going to look at the next one. That's the number of jobs or positions at the grant award. So this one is where your the LMI sheet, Excel doc, that you used will be helpful because you'll be able to, we just want to know the total of, it might be that total number of employees basically, because again, we're looking for the jobs, but those are retained by employees. So not to get confusing with wording, but you're just going to want to look at when we granted this award, what was that total number of jobs? And that's all you got to put there. So let's say it was 56 jobs. Now we're going to look at, okay, now currently, and that's where that Excel sheet that we just filled out comes into play, because we want to look at, okay, now what's the total number of the jobs? So let's say, maybe a business closed and maybe a couple jobs didn't retain a couple positions. So maybe we're at 49. That number could go up or down. Again, businesses could close. There could be some situations like that, but also businesses could grow, and they might add a couple different positions. So that number might jump up to 60. You never know. So, or it might just stay the same. So you'll put that in. Then we just want to know the total of those current jobs. How many are LMI? Again, this is just helpful for us to know. It's good. It's good for us to see statistically what's happening with that. So it will be very helpful for us if you could gather that information. So maybe of those, current 49 jobs, let's say, I don't know, 32 of them are LMI. So that's that number. And then this is just how many closed. So hopefully 0, but maybe it's 1, 2, I don't know. So you'll just put in how many of, your business is closed. Then the next section is really just program notes. This is really for those, whoever's filling this out, who's been running the program, grant administrators or local community leaders who are leading this program. You just kind of want to provide us with some updates regarding the loan or grant program from this past year. It really can be a variety of different updates. You might say, oh, we've seen, a great growth in businesses. We've been able to see businesses sustained. Or maybe there's been some closures. We've seen some issues. Kind of just talk about how the program went overall. We just want to know how things are going, stuff like that. So it can kind of just be honestly a quick general description of what you kind of want to update us on how the past year went with this program. So I'm just going to put great for now, but that's kind of an example of that. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click save. And it is going to say, okay, status report was created. What that does then is it notifies me in our system, and it'll say, blah, blah, blah community is looking for your approval. So that will give me the opportunity to then go in and review that, as well as the Excel doc. So with the Excel doc, just like you normally have with any other files, you'll just upload the file just like you have for other things in this program. So if you have any questions on how to further do that, just let me know. But it should just look like this, and you'll be able to upload a file to your administration that I can then go say, okay, I just want to double check that, if I need to look at it and double check, make sure all the information's there, that's kind of where I can check that. But it's also nice because then we can see overall the totals in that report that you just submitted. So stop sharing my screen again. So hopefully that was helpful to you. I hope that it was clear enough, again, just to kind of repeat, not to repeat myself, but you kind of can start with that Excel doc and then fill that out first. I think that's the best way to kind of be keeping track. Obviously throughout, the year before you send in the reporting, you might hear, one day, oh, I heard that so-and-so business is closed. Okay, well, maybe you need to go and talk to them, check in, find out they closed, then just go to this Excel doc and update it. That might be the best way for you to keep track of the information, so that maybe it doesn't feel like you have to go gather it all at once, though if that's how you want to do it, that works too. So yeah, I hope if you have, again, any questions, please reach out. I'll also create the screenshot guide, and that will be also another clear, easy walkthrough to be able to understand how to do your reporting. So thank you, everyone. Reach out if you need anything from me.